outside the entrance and rang a number, her lips soon working in a sort of silent charade as she fed a succession of 20p's into the coin slot. Since the garage was already almost full, it took Morse rather longer than it should have done to back the Jaguar into a happily angled position. It was out of habit, as before, that he scanned the number plates of the cars there. But when earlier he'd glanced through the hotel register, at least something had clicked in his mind. Now, though, nothing at all. The drinks bar faced him as he turned into the hotel, so he ordered a pint of best bitter, and sat down in the wall seat almost exactly on the same square footage of green leather that had been vacated 10 minutes earlier by one of the 2 scheduled occupants of room 14. At that particular moment he longed for both the things he had that very morning solemnly avowed to eschew for the remaining days of his leave: cigarettes and newspapers. Cigarettes he had given up so often in the past that he found such a feat comparatively simple. Never previously, however, had he decided that it would be of some genuine benefit to his peace of mind to be wholly free for a week or so from the regular diet of disasters served up by the quality dailies. Perhaps that was a silly idea too, though. His right hand was feeling instinctively for the reassuring square packet in his jacket pocket, when the maitresse d'hotel appeared and gave him the menu. Morse had no hesitation in choosing the seafood soup and the guinea fowl. As he stood by the dining-room door for a moment, the maitresse expressed the hope that he wouldn't mind, for this evening, sharing a table. They had quite a few non-residents in for dinner. Morse bade the good lady lose no sleep over such a trivial matter, and followed her to where an empty place was laid opposite a woman reading a copy of the Times. She lowered the newspaper, smiled in a genteel sort of way, before reverting her attention to something clearly more interesting than her table companion. It was over the main course, his only slightly after hers, that Morse ventured his first, not exactly original, gambit. "Been here long?" She shook her head. "Nor me. Only just arrived, in fact." "And me." "I'm only here for a few days." "Me too. I'm leaving on Sunday." It was the longest passage of speech Morse was likely to get, he knew, for the eyes had drifted down again to the guinea fowl. Bugger you, thought Morse. Yet his interest, in spite of himself, was beginning to be engaged. Her full mouth was undoubtedly attractive. But he noticed something else as well. He could see an intricate little criss-cross of red lines at the outer side of either eye. She might have a slight cold, of course, or she might earlier have been weeping a little. She picked up the Times once more, unfolded the whole broadsheet in front of her, and hid herself away completely. On the left of the open double-page spread, as Morse viewed things, a quite extraordinary article suddenly caught and held and dominated his attention. At the foot of the page was the headline, "Police Pass Sinister Verses to Times Man," and Morse had almost made out the whole of the first paragraph. The literary correspondent of the Times, Mr. Howard Phillipson, has been called upon by the Oxfordshire police to help solve a complex riddle-me-ree, the answer to which is believed to pinpoint the spot where a young woman's body... when the waitress returned to the table. "Coffee, madam?" "Please." "In the bar or in the lounge?" "In the bar, I think." "You, sir?" "No, thank you." On the other side of the table the newspaper was folded away. To all intents and purposes, the meal was over. "Would you mind if I smoked?" he ventured. "It doesn't matter to me." She rose abruptly, gathering up her handbag and newspaper. "Bugger you," thought Morse. He'd not been very sensible, though, he realised that. All he had to do was ask to borrow the newspaper for a couple of minutes. She'd go to the bar, she'd said. All right, he would go to the lounge, where very soon he was sitting back in a deep armchair enjoying another pint of bitter. And a large malt. Morse rose early the following morning, and walked down to the deserted ground floor, out of the hotel, and left along Marine Parade. Strolling briskly now along the front, Morse breathed deeply on the early morning air. On his return he saw, under the canopy of the buff-coloured Bay Hotel, Mrs. Harding, Mrs. Crab Crumpet herself. She raised her right hand in greeting as a taxi drew up. The ground floor was still deserted. Morse was starting up the stairs when his eye fell on the reception desk to his right. A yellow RNLI collector.